Is the Panasonic GH6 a triumph, or are you going to pass? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on why I won't be upgrading from the G95 and why I'm sort of a little disappointed in both the GH6 and Panasonic as a whole. So let's roll that intro and get busy. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Daisy, the hostess with the mostest, and welcome back to my channel. Now, this isn't going to be a spec-driven analysis of the GH6, because if you're like me, you've been sitting in front of your computer for the past 2 weeks watching every video review, both pro and con, on this camera. As usual, I'm going to leave the links down in the description below to the gurus that I follow and who I think are more qualified to get into the specs. Now, don't get your panties in a bunch, because this isn't a Micro Four Thirds versus a full frame video either. This is just my 2 cents based on the information that I have at hand. And don't worry about what I think. I'm trying to figure out what you think, so please feel free to leave some comments down below. If you watch my channel, you know that I have a few different camera systems in my arsenal, because I've learned, sometimes the hard way, that there is no perfect camera. While I love my full frame, today I'm shooting with the Sony a7S III, the 24 1.4. This is one of my favorite setups here when I'm in the Daisy's World Studios, right? I also have my Canon EOS R, like right up here. The 50 RF sits there permanently, right? So I have my full frame setup, but I've found that lately when I'm out on the road, I tend to just want smaller and lighter. And that's why, starting in 2019, I bought into the Micro Four Thirds systems. I picked up a Panasonic G95. Where is she? Here she is right here. So I've got my Panasonic G95. And I also have an Olympus the M1 Mark II. And frankly, I just love both of those cameras. The small form factor, the excellent weather sealing, the ability to change lenses from one to the other. I mean, I can pack up, I don't know if you guys can see this all the way back here. Yeah, I can pack up that whole treasure trove of Micro Four Thirds lenses in what it would weigh, right? If I was to take the Sony with the 24 to 70, that say, or even the 15 to 35 RF that I have for the Canon. I mean, lately, I just don't want to travel or go anywhere out there lugging those big lenses on my full frame cameras. I just, I don't know, it was because of COVID and the lockdown. When we started to venture back out there, I just wanted to go lighter and smaller. And that's why, the G95 worked for me, as well as the Olympus. That being said, I don't think the GH6 is what the GH5 was when it first launched back in 2017. If you're a content creator around here, or a YouTuber, or whatever you do with your gear, you know that when the GH5 launched, that thing was known as the king of mirrorless, giving people 4K 60, a lot of video-centric specs, a good price point. I mean, a lot of things that Sony and Canon just weren't doing at the time. If you watch the Panasonic official question and answer event that they had, which lasted all of 3 to 4 minutes, I couldn't believe how short that thing is for a camera that, everybody around here has been waiting for about 5 years. On the other hand, the Olympus or OM Digitals with that OM1, their presentation was spot on. But anyway, that just could be me. But if you tuned into that thing, and I sure did. And you know how I do, I got it in my notes. Yeah, I started to write down because the chat, it was like a fury of, everybody putting in their questions. I mean, I couldn't keep up. But there was a few things that people kept asking like over and over again, and I wrote them down. There was a lot of people that wanted to see this camera come in with 8K in either 8 or 10-bit. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know what to do with 4K, but okay. Looks like people wanted 8K. A lot of the questions were like they wanted dual matching cards. They wanted dual cards, but they wanted the cards to match. That was another biggie. I saw a lot of people stating that they would have dug dual native ISO. So that one was another one that was high on the wish list. And the number one thing, and I mean like every other question, was why did you guys decide to stick with the contrast-based detect autofocusing system instead of giving us PDAF or the phase detect autofocusing? That was the number one. I'm talking about, like I said, every other question was based on that. Now, in the few minutes that they covered it, you want to know how many of those top 4 that I wrote down the GH6 is giving people? 0. None. Not even the phase detect autofocusing system. I mean, frankly, I could have cared less about anything else that was on these people's list. But again, that's just me. I wanted a camera that can focus so I don't have to continue to pull manual focus like I have to on my G95. According to Panasonic, they were developing this camera back since the GH4 launched, and at the time, I guess their research and development people thought that folks really wanted more of an emphasis on bigger sensor or faster sensor, more megapixels, depth of field, all of this stuff. And they didn't really think that people wanted, a better autofocusing system. Now, I'm going to leave the link down to the article. That way you can read it for yourself, because Panasonic gave an interview with, what's the name of that gentleman from TechRadar? Mark Wilson from TechRadar got to sit down with one of Panasonic's people, and like I said, I'm going to leave the link down so you can see exactly why we didn't get the phase detect autofocusing. But I mean, just hear me out for a minute, guys, because like I said, I'm no camera expert, right? I buy my gear so I can create content, give you guys decent content with a good camera that autofocuses, my lighting, my sound. That's what I'm after. But it seems to me that since that GH5 launched, the main thing that a lot of YouTubers and people that owned this camera, or the GH5, were saying was, wow, it's a fantastic camera. The only thing missing is an autofocus that works. Granted, you can learn how to pull focus, but that's what was missing from the GH5. I'm thinking that if they had just given us one new button and the phase detect autofocus system, everybody around here would have dropped what they were doing. I would have already packed up the G95, sent it off to MPB where I, sell my gear, and put the money towards the GH6. But again, we didn't get it. I have no idea if their research and development people don't watch YouTube. I mean, that's been the main pet peeve with their contrast-based autofocusing system. I mean, even when I picked up the G95, and like I said, I picked it up after the fact, I would have looked for a used GH5. But since I kept hearing that the autofocusing system, sort of like stinks, especially when you want to do talking heads videos like this, I said, you know what, let me just hold off. The G95 is a lot smaller. It's got the same sensor that's on the G9 and the GH5. Let me invest in that. I think I picked it up new for like $900. I've been very happy with it. except that I had to learn how to pull focus because it's the same crap Zola. And how are they going to turn around in 2022 and say that they didn't know that that's what people wanted? I mean, on what planet has the Panasonic guys been living on, right? Because that's been, again, the main pet peeve. Like I said, not only with the GH5, but any of their cameras that uses that depth from defocus, right? DFD. That's what the official acronym is, right? Instead of PDAF, which is the phase detect autofocusing system, right? That's on most cameras today. I mean, even Olympus uses a hybrid type of autofocusing system, right? Using both. I mean, obviously, I don't have to tell you the focusing system that's on the Sony a7S III, Canon with their dual auto pixel. I mean, in 2022, I'm still trying to figure out who they're trying to market this camera to. You know, I don't remember going into a camera store and saying, give me something with a lot of specs and I don't really give a crap if it doesn't autofocus. Not when you've got cameras today like, what's out there? The Sony a7 IV, right? Has serious autofocusing. The Canon R6. I mean, the competition is steep. And while the GH5, was great when it launched in 2017, both Canon and Sony and even Fuji have gone leaps and bounds over what their autofocusing systems are doing. And at the same price point. So I don't know where Panasonic gets off telling people that, that's not what they thought people were wanting back when they started to develop this camera. But hey, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, my 2 cents, they missed the boat. And big time. So it looks like they're going to be sticking with the contrast-based, focusing system, the depth from defocus, DFD. And according to them, they are still working on, maybe with their next camera launch, going to phase detect or even coming up with something newer and better on their own. So let me go over the few reasons why I won't be upgrading from the G95 to the GH6. Number one reason is I don't dig the contrast-based autofocusing system, right? Even if they're saying that it's slightly improved, and from a lot of the reviews that I've watched, they're stating that it's slightly improved, but it's still there. I don't know if you guys watched Gerald get completely undone when he reviewed the GH6. But I don't know. I think Gerald was either having a bad day. And, Gerald is as honest as a day is long. I always go to him first. I don't feel pressure like he's trying to sell me something. He takes apart these cameras all the way. And I trust what he's telling me. And according to Gerald, this focusing system is still bad. It's still there. And he's not buying it. I'm pretty sure Panasonic regretted giving Gerald that camera that day because, Gerald said, no, sorry, not when there's other cameras handling autofocusing way better in 2022. Number two is the size. I don't know if you guys got to look at that, but on the, DP's review, that thing is coming in at 2.8 pounds. So it's bigger than the GH5 by at least a pound, I think. I mean, I know that they had to put in that fan, to help with any overheating issues. I wish Canon had done something similar with the R6, which is why I'm still walking around with the R, but that's another video. And they gave us that camera has a fully articulating screen, but then they went ahead and made it so that you can flip it up. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but that screen is about this thick. But yeah, guys, I'm not looking for heavier. If I want, basically speaking, I can walk around with the Sony a7S III, the 24 1.4 GM, or I recently picked up their 20, because you guys know I love shooting wide, and that's a more compact setup. Sometimes when I take the full frames out, and because I'm looking for lighter, and then I just, take the the smaller lenses, or like the one, the one prime lens. Prime lens means the 50 or the 35 or whatever. I always feel like, damn, I should have bought another lens, right? Or I should have bought the 24 to 70, because there's times that while I feel that the prime lens as a photographer or videographer, you have to be more creative, right? Because if you go out for the day, sometimes I go out with the R and the RF50s on there, and I've got to be more creative because that's the only focal length I've got for the day. So I say, damn, I should have bought the 15 to 35 or at least the 24 to 105, which, is still lighter, than the 24 to 70, than any of these Sigma glass out here, right? Or the RF glass. So there's days that I don't like to be stuck with just the prime lens, which is, again, why the Micro Four Thirds comes in handy. The Olympus, with the Olympus 12 to 40 2.8 Pro lens, I can travel everywhere with that focal range. It's light, it's compact, I don't have to worry. On the other hand, I'm not going anywhere with the 15 to 35 RF. Unless it's on my tripod. So again, they decided to go a little heavier, and that's just not gonna work for me. Okay, number 3 was the specs. While fantastic on paper, again, I don't know what I would do with 6K. I'm very rarely shooting 4, but 6K, that didn't impress me. Okay, if you buy a camera and it's there, I mean, I guess eventually I'll use it. Like I use 4K with the Sony, or I use it, with any of my systems. But, 4K, 6K, 4K and, or 6K doesn't impress me, and 8K doesn't really impress me. So, that didn't do anything for me. I will say this though, guys, the ProRes, in a way, it fascinated me a little bit, because if you know anything about ProRes, you know that it's a less compressed codec, and that thing is supposed to run on any computer. If there's anything that I'll say with these new fancy schmancy computers today, is these damn codecs. Like when I first got the Sony, I wanted to cry, because anytime you use that 265 codec in the 422 10-bit, right? Yeah, good luck finding a computer that will run that thing, or your editing software. And let me tell you, I spend a lot of money on my gear and also on my computers. I've got a spec'd out Dell back here with 32 gigs of memory, NVIDIA graphics card, the works. I also render video from my Omen, right? That thing renders video in warp speed. I have a Dell downstairs. I mean, none of my computers dig the 265 422 10-bit. I don't know what the hell the deal with that codec is, but I can't find any of my computers that will run it smoothly. And I know you can create proxies, but again, that's something that, one, you have to learn, and two, no, I'm not learning how to create proxies until I feel like it. Give me a codec that's gonna run straight out of camera. So the ProRes interested me, but unfortunately, it's a massive file size, right? The file sizes that come out of that thing are humongous, so you're gonna have to invest in CF Express B, which is what the GH6 takes. And I looked on Amazon the other day, and one for about 256 GB of storage is running anywhere between $250 and $300 if you want to do ProRes, right, and the higher frame rates and all of that stuff. So you know what? I already, had to figure out the headaches that the Sony gave me. As much as I love it, coming from Canon and their menu systems, the Sony a7S III was homework. And anybody that owns this camera knows that, you got to become familiar with the menus, the SD cards, what codecs. I mean, I'm not in the mood to go through that again. So, no. But again, you're going to need the CF Express B cards. You're probably going to have to invest in a CF Express B card reader. So again, I wasn't digging, the more expensive stuff after laying out $2,200 for a camera that doesn't autofocus. So that was a big no-no for me. And lastly, truth be told, I just didn't really feel the need to have to learn another camera. One that doesn't offer me what I really wanted, which was autofocusing. Don't get me wrong. Had they went with a good focusing system, I would have damn straight sent up the G95 and then concentrated on following the gurus. That's what I used them for, the ambassadors, because they know the inner workings of this camera. I can watch a few videos. They'll show me how the specs go, what these cameras are capable of doing, right? And I always figure, you know how I do on my channel, if I can do it, you can do it too. But I just didn't, I've got enough cameras in my arsenal that it's just not making me want to run out and get the GH6. And again, this is subjective. This is my opinion. Like I said, if you dig the specs, right, and you don't really care about manually pulling focus, or, I don't know what you guys use your cameras for, but if that's not a big issue for you, then like I said, you're all set with the GH6. On the other hand, the camera that I am keeping an eye out for is OM Digital Solutions, their new WOW camera, that OM1. I don't know if you guys, you probably are aware that, Olympus sold off that camera division. OM Digital Solutions is the name of the new company, and the new camera is the OM1, and I literally had to sit on my hands not to pre-order that thing. Now, I already have the Olympus M1 Mark II, which I love. I didn't feel the need to upgrade to the 3 because, according to the Micro Four Thirds gurus, there really wasn't much of a difference from the 2 to the 3, but the OM1 looks really sweet. Now, I know that Olympus tends to make their cameras, they're more photocentric, which is okay. That's what they're known for. But in this OM1, they really got down with some pretty nice video specs. I do say so myself. Let me get my cheat sheet, guys, so I don't want to miss anything. It looks like, they're giving us a new stack sensor. They call it the TruePix X. So new sensor, brand new EVF at like 5.7 million dots. That's got to be pretty amazing to look through. Cinema 4K, 60 frames a second, uncropped, with full continuous autofocus. You hear that, Panasonic? Full HD in 1080. So you're going to get full HD 1080 video at 240 frames per second in 8-bit with the 8264 codec. And that's the codec that I like. That's the codec that runs smoothly, no headaches, right? It will allow you to shoot 10-bit, but in the 8265 codec. So I don't know so much about that one. But anyway, you're getting OM log, you're getting built-in ND filters on that camera, unlimited recording, and as if Olympus needed to, they've doubled down on the weather sealing for that camera, right? If you know Olympus, they weatherproof their cameras, and supposedly now it's IP53 dust and splash resistance. I mean, truth be told, if you watch their event, which was beautifully done, they took that camera, what seems to be, to Alaska. They took it in rain, in mud. I mean, they really did a good job telling us what the hell was special in their camera, unlike Panasonic's 4-minute review, right? I don't get that. But Olympus, I gotta give it to OMD. They did a spectacular job with unleashing that camera on us, and I'm digging it. It's coming in at 1.32 pounds. Or 599 grams. They kept it small and light, which is up my alley, right? So that works for me. So it looks to me like the OM1, for what I do, is actually the clear winner. After I do a little bit more homework, I'll let you guys know if I decided to pull the trigger on the OM1, but the jury is still out. Alrighty guys, so that's it for now. Please let me know in the comments down below, and be nice. If you're considering the GH6, if you're going to sell something in your arsenal to get it, and what are your thoughts about it? I really love to hear all kinds of opinions. You know me, I don't got any hair on my tongue. I'm not going to be shocked. Just keep it nice, but let me know if you decided to move on and pick up this GH6. As always, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel down below. And while you're at it, gong that little bell. That way you'll be notified every time I drop a new video. Thanks for watching. Ciao.